They fined me $200 for a bike, left under the porch. I opened the notice, still in my pajamas, heart pounding. Violation, personal property disrupting visual harmony. And then I looked out the window. Judy, wearing a glittery HOA vest adjusting purple floodlights on her front lawn. These lights really show off the hydrangeas, she laughed, waving at a friend. The receipts were posted online 2 days ago, $3,400 from our HOA fund, for aesthetic enhancement. I held the fine in one hand, watched her plug in the lights with the other. They fined me for a bike, I muttered. But what about this? Every morning, I walk the same loop around the block. It looks perfect. Too perfect. Lawns trimmed like carpet. American flags spaced exactly the same. Trash bins placed at 90-degree angles. One house had a wreath that wasn't seasonal, gone the next day. Another had wind chimes. Now there's a notice taped to the fence, and always the same white SUV circling slowly. Not police, not delivery. Just Judy Mallory. Clipboard on her lap. Watching. It's like she's the queen of something, and this isn't a neighborhood. It's a little kingdom. I can feel it in the air like a rulebook hiding under every flower pot. Whatever's going on here, it's not about keeping things nice. It's about control. The email came at 2:13 a.m. No name, no greeting, just this Judy's playing favorites. Some people get a free pass while we're fined for breathing. I stared at it for a while, then read it again. Attached were 3 pictures. A backyard with an illegal pool, a driveway packed with guests, a front yard cluttered with holiday junk all untouched, all her friends. Meanwhile, the rest of us get warnings for potted plants or a sagging mailbox. This wasn't a grudge. It was a pattern, and someone out there wanted me to see it. I hit reply, typed a thank you, paused, then deleted it. Whoever they weren't ready to be seen, and honestly, neither was I. Not yet. I saw it from my kitchen window. The Chen family was hanging red lanterns on their porch. It was Lunar New Year. Their daughter was smiling, holding the string. It looked beautiful. 15 minutes later, Judy showed up. White SUV, clipboard, sunglasses. She didn't knock, just stood at the edge of their lawn, pointed, spoke loud enough for the whole street. Bless your heart, but those red lanterns are an eyesore. We have rules. I watched Mrs. Chen nod, smile politely, then take them down. No debate, no resistance, just quiet shame. Judy got back in her car and drove off like nothing happened, and somehow that moment stung more than my fine, because that wasn't about property. It was about who belonged and who didn't. I couldn't stop thinking about those lanterns, or the email, or my bike fine. It wasn't just Judy. It was the system she built around herself, and it was airtight unless you knew how to slip through. So I signed a short-term lease on the corner lot. New name, no title, just another renter. I moved in with 2 boxes and no welcome. No one waved. But Judy did drive by, slowed down, watched, then drove off. I pulled the curtains, sat on the floor. If Judy's hiding something, I thought I'll find it by playing her game. The power she used to control others, I'd use it to expose her, from the inside. I hung 2 towels on the back railing. They weren't even visible from the street, still damp, fading from sun and use. By noon, Judy was in my driveway. She didn't knock. She just called out sharp-clipped, "Your yard isn't in compliance. Remove those towels or you'll hear from the board." No hello, no conversation, just a warning. I opened the screen door slowly. "They're drying," I said. She raised an eyebrow, wrote something down. "Rules are rules," she said. "We maintain standards here." Then she turned heels, clicking on pavement. I stood there, barefoot, holding a towel like a criminal. This wasn't about neatness, it was a test, and I had just passed by failing. It was my first HOA meeting as a renter. Folded chairs, lukewarm coffee. Judy at the front, like always, centered standing. Someone asked about voting on the new fencing rules. I raised my hand. She didn't even look at me. "Renters don't get a vote," she said. "This is for homeowners who invest in our community. No hesitation, no apology, just a line drawn in concrete." A few heads turned. Most stayed still. I lowered my hand and felt something click in my chest, not fear, not yet, but the first clean crack of rage. This wasn't just about towels or bikes. This was about who counted and who didn't. And Judy. She had no intention of hiding it. Angela lives 2 houses down. Single mom. Works nights, keeps to herself. That day, her kid left a small bike near the walkway. Pink streamers, training wheels. By noon, the notice was there. Your kid's bike is a visual nuisance. 2 streets over, Judy's friend Lisa hosted a party. Music cars, lawn full of guests. It ran until almost midnight. I walked past on purpose. Judy was there, laughing, holding a wine glass. "Your party's fine," she said. "Just keep it classy." That same night, Angela was outside moving the bike herself. She looked tired, like someone who had already lost the argument. That contrast hit hard. One rule for them, another for the rest of us. I wasn't the only one watching anymore. I posted on the HOA Facebook group. Just a picture of Angela's fine notice next to Lisa's party invite. No caption, no accusations. It stayed up for 15 minutes. Then it vanished. 10 minutes later, Judy commented under someone else's post. "This post is a disgrace to our standards. Do better." She didn't mention my name, but everyone knew. No one liked it. No one said a word. The silence was worse than the deletion. It wasn't just a bike or a towel anymore. Now it was my voice. Cut mid-sentence. That night I scrolled through the group watching neighbors post pet photos and gardening tips. All smiling, all quiet. And I realized this place wasn't just controlled on the outside, it was curated. Frank sits on his porch every evening. Same chair, same book. Always nods when I walk by. One night I stopped and asked about the HOA. He closed the book, looked straight ahead. 30 years I've lived here, he said, and I've never been allowed to speak at a meeting. I asked why. He shook his head slowly. They act like I'm not even here. I'm tired of being invisible. His voice didn't rise. No anger, just weight, like it had been pressing down for decades. I sat beside him. We didn't talk much after that, but I didn't forget what he said. Because when someone like Frank is silenced for that long, you start to realize it's not just about who they hear, it's about who they erase. The meeting room smelled like weak coffee and carpet glue. I sat near the back, just listening. Gary stood up with a folded proposal. Printed charts, bullet points, very official. We suggest reallocating $200 to $300 from the beautification fund. Someone asked where it would go. He smiled. Judy's yard sets the standard, he said. It's the first thing visitors see. It represents us. A few heads nodded. No one clapped. I looked down at the budget sheet. No vote, no objection. Just done. Meanwhile, Angela's sidewalk is cracked. Frank's park bench is splintered. My fine still unpaid. This wasn't about beauty. It was about power and who gets rewarded for keeping it. I kept the sheet, highlighted the numbers. It was time to start counting. It happened in the side hallway right after the meeting ended. Judy was speaking with Gary. She didn't know I was behind the corner. Phone recording, pocket open. "Don't let renters speak," she said, laughing. "They don't pay real taxes. They don't matter." My stomach dropped. Not from surprise, but from how easy it came out of her mouth. Like it was obvious. Like we were all extras in her version of the neighborhood. I didn't move, didn't breathe until she walked off. I replayed the audio twice that night. And for the first time I knew this wouldn't just be a story to tell. It was going to be evidence. And Judy had handed it to me herself. The live stream popped up on the HOA group feed. Judy, standing in her front yard phone, tilted just right. Flag behind her. Voice crisp. Some people think they can ignore the rules. Let me be clear. Not on my watch. She panned the camera toward Rachel's yard. then Angela's, then toward the Chen family home. We have standards. We don't lower them for laziness or culture clashes. The comments were full of thumbs-ups and emojis. A few hearts. One, yes, queen. But I saw the real power in her eyes, the satisfaction. The warning. This wasn't about rules, it was performance. Punishment dressed in pixels. And she wanted everyone to see who was in charge and who should stay silent. It was a sunny Saturday. The Chen's little boy, maybe 6, was drawing suns and smiley faces on the sidewalk with chalk. Bright colors, laughter, the kind of moment neighborhoods are supposed to have. Then Judy appeared. Chalk drawings she snapped. Not in my neighborhood. She was already holding a clipboard, already taking pictures. Mrs. Chen came outside confused. The boy shrank behind her. His yellow stick of chalk dropped, still rolling. This isn't a playground, Judy barked. It's a community of standards. No warning, no smile, no ounce of grace. I watched from across the street, fist clenched, heart pounding. Because if even a kid's joy was a threat to her control, then this wasn't just policy, it was cruelty. I sat with a stack of fine notices. 2 weeks of digging, names, dates, addresses. Then I sorted them. Renters, minorities, homeowners, friends of Judy. It wasn't even close. Out of 127 fines issued this year, 117 went to renters or residents with non-white last names, 92%. I double-checked every line, crossed out duplicates, ran the math again. Then I printed the chart. Simple. Black ink on white paper, no color needed. At the next HOA meeting, I passed copies around. Quietly. This is what Judy calls standards, I said. 92%. That's not a coincidence. No yelling, no drama. Just numbers. The kind that couldn't be explained away, not anymore. I saw Gary glance at Judy, and for once she didn't smile. I met Jake behind the community center near the mural Judy kept trying to paint over. I showed him the data, the recordings. His eyes lit up. "You're sitting on a grenade," he said. "Let's take this to TikTok." I hesitated. "You think people will care?" He smiled. "Trust me. HOA drama is like catnip online. And this is corruption with a spreadsheet." We planned the rollout clips of Judy's live stream side by side with the fine chart. Voiceovers, captions, hashtags. #HOA Rebellion. It didn't feel reckless. It felt right. For the first time, I wasn't just collecting proof. I was building something. Not just to expose Judy, but to remind everyone watching we're not powerless. Not when we stand together. The envelope had no name, just taped to my front door with a single piece of Scotch tape. Inside a single sheet. Typed. No signature. "Stop digging or you'll regret this. I know people." My hands went cold. Not from the words, but from how calm they were. I looked around the street. Sprinklers ticking. Dogs barking somewhere. Everything normal. But something had shifted. I wasn't just annoying Judy anymore. Someone else was watching. Someone who didn't want this story told. I slipped the note into a file with the others, took a photo, forwarded it to Jake, and locked my door that night. Twice. Whatever this was, I knew it meant I was getting close. Too close. Frank spoke softly at the meeting. "There's a bench by the playground," he said. "The slats are cracked. Kids trip over it. I can help fix it if we just get the wood." Judy didn't even look up from her notes. "Not a priority," she said flatly. "We have aesthetic concerns to address first. No discussion. Just silence." Frank nodded once, sat down. Didn't argue, but I saw the way his shoulders sank. He'd lived here for 30 years, served in the Army, volunteered every 4th of July. But when he asked for one thing, he was ignored. And somehow that tiny moment stung more than all the big ones. It was never just about fines or decorations. It was about who mattered, and who didn't. And in Judy's world, Frank didn't. I stayed up printing. Photo evidence. Fines, screenshots. The transcript of Judy's voice. Jake helped me sync the clips label each file. We had it all. The favoritism, the slurs, the spending trails, every quiet injustice on paper in color. This ends now, I whispered to myself. The folder felt heavy, not because of weight, because of what it meant. I made extra copies, one for the HOA, one for the state office, one in my car, one sent to Jake's cloud, just in case. The next meeting was 3 days away, but in my chest it was already happening. She wouldn't see it coming, but I would be ready. And this time everyone would see the truth. I filmed it in one take, no filters, no edits. If you live in Willow Creek and feel unheard, if you've been fined, silenced, or ignored. This Thursday, HOA meeting, 6 p.m. Bring a chair, bring your voice, bring your story. Join us. Jake added the clips. Judy's livestream Frank's bench, the deleted posts. We printed flyers, slid them under doors. Angela helped pin them at the park and mailbox shelter. People messaged. Old neighbors, renters, even a few silent homeowners. I thought it was just me. Finally. I'll be there. For the first time, the silence wasn't so loud. 3 days left. And this time it wouldn't just be me. She walked in like it was a coronation. Blazer crisp, smile smug, clipboard clutched like a scepter. Let's keep this meeting in compliance with our standards. The room went still, not fearful, watchful. People sat straighter, phones already recording. Angela and Frank were in the second row. Jake nodded from the back. Judy didn't notice the flyers in every hand, or the projector quietly humming to life behind her. She opened her notes like nothing had changed, like the neighborhood still belonged to her, like truth could be redlined out of existence. First order of business, garden fence heights. I took a breath. Not yet, but close. The silence wasn't respect anymore. It was the calm before a storm she couldn't control. I didn't say a word, just tapped the space bar. The clip played on the wall behind her. Judy's voice clear as glass. Wave Lisa's fine. She cuts my hair for free. Gasps. One dropped phone. Judy froze, blinked once like it would undo sound. That's out of context. But the room already knew. The laughter was dry, disbelieving, angry. Frank muttered, "So that's what standards mean." Angela whispered, "Unbelievable." I looked around. No more silence, no more fear. Judy didn't move. Her clipboard lowered, her mouth opened, then shut. The projector whirred quietly, ready for more, and I had more. Slide 2 came up, bar, graph, color-coded, sharp contrast. Judy's friends never get fined. The rest of us 92% of penalties. Silence again, but this time boiling. A ripple moved across the room like heat. These aren't opinions. These are HOA records. Public fines. Cross-referenced with known associations. I flipped through the pages. Line after line of selective enforcement. Angela. The Chens. Renters. Anyone who wasn't part of Judy's inner circle. Jake pulled up a map. Red dots everywhere except one neat row of untouched homes. It's not about standards, I said. It's about control. Even the quietest neighbors stared now. Not at me, at her, and she still hadn't spoken. Gary stood up before I even finished the next slide. His voice cracked not from anger, from panic. I was just following Judy's orders. She said there'd be consequences if I didn't. A murmur rippled through the chairs. She told us to fine Angela. She picked who got letters. He looked at Judy. No defense, just a frozen face. I didn't agree with it. But she runs everything. You don't say no to her. Jake scoffed under his breath. Angela folded her arms. The Chens looked at each other and nodded. The crowd turned not just toward Judy anymore, but toward the entire board. And that's when I knew the house of cards wasn't falling. It was collapsing from inside. Angela stood up. No slides, no data. Just her voice, low, firm, tired. I work 3 jobs to keep this house and you call me a visual nuisance. The room fell still. My son rides a second-hand bike. You fined me for it. Your friend throws loud parties. Nothing. She wasn't yelling. She didn't have to. Everyone felt it, years of quiet humiliation pressed into each word. I keep my lawn trimmed, my bills paid, and my head down. But that was never enough for you. Judy didn't answer. Couldn't. Angela's hands were trembling, but she didn't step back. She looked Judy dead in the eye. You don't get to decide who belongs here. And suddenly the whole room seemed to breathe again. I waited for the silence to settle. Then I opened the folder in front of me. Everything we've shown tonight has already been submitted to the Arizona Department of Housing. Judy flinched. Not a word from her, not a sound from anyone else. The state's investigating. I said steady, your rules don't apply anymore, Judy. It wasn't just about the fines or the favoritism. It was about how she treated people like they didn't matter. That ends now. Gary sat down, eyes down. Angela stared straight ahead. Frank crossed his arms, slow and sure. Judy opened her mouth, but nothing came out. You used the system to silence people, I said. Now it's your turn to answer for it. And the room finally felt free. The next morning, the special vote happened on the school lawn. People showed up with folding chairs, coffee mugs, kids. Some wore shirts that said, Shita, Ho Rebellion. The energy wasn't angry anymore. It was ready. When the results came in, the crowd clapped. Then someone cheered. Then everyone did. Effective immediately, the facilitator said, Judy and Gary are suspended from the HOA board. A pause. Then, we deserve better, a neighbor shouted. This is our neighborhood too. I looked around at Angela smiling with her daughter, at Frank nodding slow at Jake, filming everything. This wasn't just about Judy, it was about all of us finally being heard. And this time, the vote was ours. After the vote, someone asked the question I knew was coming. Rachel, are you going to run for chair? I shook my head. I didn't do this to lead, I said. I did it so someone better could. I turned toward Angela. She looked surprised, then deeply still. Angela knows what it's like to fight for a home, I said. She's our leader. Applause broke out, not loud, not wild. Just real. The kind that sticks. Angela wiped her eyes, nodded slowly, and stepped forward. She didn't make a speech. She didn't need to. Her presence said everything. This time, the HOA would be led by someone who understood the weight of every fine, every silent dismissal, and that was the change we'd waited for. A week later, the cul-de-sac looked different. Not in the trees or the sidewalks, in the way people moved. Lawn chairs circled around a grill. Kids drew with chalk, giggling. No one stopped them. Angela passed out lemonade. Frank told a terrible joke. Everyone laughed anyway. Someone brought a speaker. Ain't No Mountain High Enough played low in the background. Jake nudged me and said, This feels like a real neighborhood again. And it did. No fines, no fear. No one scanning your lawn like a prison inspection. Just people, together, sharing food, stories, space. For the first time since I moved here, I wasn't watching over my shoulder. I was just here, with them, and it felt like home. By Monday, Jake's video was everywhere. HOA, Queen Falls, Haddard HOA, Rebellion 500K views in 6 hours. Clips of the vote. Judy's meltdown, Angela's quiet strength. People in other towns started commenting. Same thing happened in our HOA. This gave me hope. Jake turned to me and said, You started something, Rach. I just smiled. That wasn't the point. It never was. At the end of his video, he asked me to say something, just one line. I looked into the camera and said, Justice doesn't need to be loud, just brave. And that was it. No dramatic fade-out, just truth. And a neighborhood that finally remembered how to breathe.